Hey, everyone. God, shit. I always screw this up. Hey, welcome to an episode of Jeff Has Cool Friends. I'm Jeff May, and I have cool friends. That's exciting, right? Everybody knows it's exciting. I'm very excited today. If you're listening on the Patreon and you're listening on release day, it's my birthday. That's exciting. Happy birthday to me. And there's no guest that I would rather have on the show for my birthday than one of my very good friends, a relatively recent friend as far as time goes, the amazingly talented Afua Richardson. Afua, hi.
Aw, hi Jeff. I get to be your friend.
You do. I kind of made that happen aggressively because I don't know if you remember our origin story. We were both walking into Motor City Comic Con at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You were going to set up your table, and I was going to around until I had to talk, which what a weird job that is. And I saw you. Cool. You had like three pieces of luggage that you were bringing with you because you're an artist and you set up at a table and you have to have all this stuff there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and you were also cosplaying.
Was I dressed as Maleficent that day?
No, you were a Wakandan queen.
Oh.
So I looked at you carrying all this stuff, and I had a backpack, and I said, "Can I please just carry one of these things for you?" And you were like, "No, I'm good." And I was like, "Okay, we're going the same place." I'd feel like a piece of shit for this entire walk if I'm just watching you struggle with these things when I have two arms available. And then we struck up a conversation and became fast friends, and I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, it's like, one of your arms shall be borrowed because queens should not carry their luggage.
See, we could just do this all day. Like, we could just have that conversation like this, and I'll be like, we have a Wakandan queen on the show. But no, it was great. It was a fun weekend. We had a lot of mutual friends. We had a good time. Yeah. I gave you edibles because
that made the show very wonderful.
I brought extra because I need to sleep, especially in hotel rooms, because you can never tell if you're going to be able to sleep in a hotel room.
That's true. Some pillows are made of air, and others are made of regret.
I also
neither which
I also have a fabric softener allergy, and I have learned, shout outs to the whatever hotel I stayed in Albuquerque, that I was just like, "Hey man, can you give me sheets without all this fabric softener?" And they were like, "We sure can't." That sometimes I need to be able to fall asleep on an empty mattress with no blanket, and that would be a sleeping opportunity. But that being said, so you are an artist, but you're not just the classic style of like a comic artist that works there. You have such an interesting backstory that I could not wait to have you on the show.
Oh, yay. Thanks for finding me interesting. I am an illustrator, a writer, a musician, a singer, a songwriter, I guess an actor. I haven't done that much acting, but
a dancer.
Yeah. A human beatbox artist, but
I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait, real quick. Wait. Okay, that doesn't show up when you look.
Really? I just don't talk about it very much anymore.
But were you really like a human beat? Like you did the whole?
I was. When I was in high school, I went to LaGuardia for the Performing Arts in New York.
Yeah.
And I was a part of a crew of all female hip hop artists. Mm-hmm. So we had Cotton Candy, who was a battle DJ. We had Pre the Honey Dark, who was this amazing battle MC who won this like KRS-One battle.
Damn.
Like it was incredible. Like she was just a phenomenal MC. And then me, for some reason, imitating singers and imitating noises and animals.
That's really cool. So you were mimicking. You were doing like mimic style stuff.
That is how I became a singer. I was mimicking things.
Really?
It started with weird little animals at the zoo, and then I was mimicking sounds and mimicking voices and mimicking singers, and then I just started mushing it all together.
What singers were you like finding yourself really? Was it everybody, or were there people that you could really like? Oh, I nailed that! Like the impression was spot on.
Specifically, like I was really into Sarah Vaughan and Billie Holiday. So I had that whole kind of jazz era thing down. For the time that I did commercial voice acting, I would get asked to like sound like Gwen Stefani. Gwen Stefani was actually a really big vocal influence for me when she was a part of No Doubt.
Oh, you didn't follow her to the lamb part of her career, or
you know, sometimes you part ways with an actor. I think she's awesome. I liked the stuff with No Doubt, and I liked maybe the first couple of albums when she went solo.
Yeah, I mean, there's still some that Love Angel Music Baby. That was a good album.
Heck yeah!
I'm not going to pretend it's not.
I still dance Zumba in my house to that.
So, like that would also that also reminds me. So you were a voice actor as well.
Mm-hmm. I worked at this commercial at this Jingle House in Soho, and I was actually the receptionist. And then when they couldn't find a singer, they would just come downstairs and be like, "Afua, can you sing like a Jamaican man?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, we do anything. Wagwan." And I would just do it. Like,
really?
If I could do it, I'd do it.
That's going to be a nice pay bump, right?
Yeah, it was nice every once in a while. Like, oh, yes.
I've seen some of the checks some people get from doing commercials, and you're just like, oh, so you're just gonna just live off of a Burger King commercial for a year. That's wild to me.
I mean, it's such a roll of the dice, though. You can audition for hundreds and you might get one. Yeah,
it is weighted gambling working in the entertainment industry, and working in the arts in general. It's like you have to build skills and talents, but that's still not enough, which is very frustrating if you've done the work and then an industry might not be interested or ready to receive you, even though you've put all that hard work in. It's hard to do that. There's not a lot of other jobs where, you know, like if you're an accountant who's a bit of a weirdo, you'll still get a job as an accountant somewhere.
Right.
But some industries just don't want people, or they reject people sometimes. And that's weird.
Right. Because it's primarily about opinion.
Yeah.
The opinion of the people who are looking, the opinion of the artist who is expressing themselves through their craft. Mm-hmm. And then they put all of their eggs in this singular skill. But unlike being a doctor or an architect or something of that sort, someone has to want what it is that you make.
Yeah.
And that's difficult when you're making something that is emotionally based.
Yeah.
So that's why I had a million jobs.
It is.
Why I became all of these things. I was like, I have to do this.
It is working in the arts. I don't know if people really understand that it is debasing sometimes. And the one of the main things they teach us is not to have shame. They're like, look, if you have shame and you doubt yourself or whatever, then it's just not going to work, because you need to have the confidence in whatever stupid thing you're doing. Because sometimes what we do is stupid and we laugh about it, and it's great when we can. But even acting conceptually, acting is stupid. You're playing make-believe as an adult, but it elicits emotional responses. Art is designed to elicit responses, and you need to be fearless in order to seriously put that art out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's sort of a balance. You have to be able to listen to the criticism, but not succumb to the pressure that comes with the rejection.
Well, I mean that too, and then also to try to change what you are in order to fit a mold that you might not feel comfortable in as well, which artistically I think is something that I'm gonna want to talk to you about, because that it is very interesting when we talk about the comics industry and artists and what we have seen throughout the 80 years, 90 years that the comics industry has existed, and all the fads and the things that have been showing up, and how, I mean, illustration has existed for how long, you know, like illustration, but like comics, I mean, when we think of comics as a modern, even sort of superhero style, before it was just, you know, cartoon cats and things like that. It's 1939. So, you know, that's not that. Yeah, not
that old.
It's a young medium.
It is a young medium, and it is treated like such.
Yes, it's certainly.
I mean, maybe not so much anymore,
Oh,
within the last 20, 30 years. I think it's been treated with a little bit more respect. People respect success.
It's certainly grown. You would have thought comics would get a bigger bump because of Marvel movies. And I guess they kind of do a little bit, but not as well as you would have hoped.
Well, I think when it's going through the growing pains, and I think the urge to put out a film that is just like a comic book is a way to pay homage to the fans, because that's their embedded audience. But understanding that the transference of media also changes how it's received. So I think there's more of a push to turn superhero films into high concept films. And I think there have always been like a mixture thereof. And, it's not just been like, you are super, I have a cape and a mission, go. And some of it is that because that's fun. But I think there's room for it all. And I think industries are understanding that you can have serious emotional content and higher concepts and philosophy and larger life lessons and amazing leather pants. Don't sweat in.
So many good non-sweaty leather pants. That's honestly why I watched them. I'm really like, look, all that non-sweating leather. And then if you were on set and you smelled it, you'd be like, no, that's sweat. There's sweat in that leather. Yeah.
This is why there's no smell-o-vision.
One of the things that I was delighted to find out when we first met, we were talking about it, and I had stopped by your table to visit, and I told you, I was like, I'm going to come back and check out like your setup once you're there. I obviously don't want to come while you're, and I did,
just disappear into the void.
And it's and one of the things that you had as like the credit on there and some of the artwork that you had was stuff from Lovecraft Country.
Yes,
which I loved that show. My roommate and I consumed it so hard. She loves it. It was and you did the visuals.
Yes, it was a phenomenal production. HBO, for those of you who still haven't seen it yet, like while you're waiting for the next House of the Dragon, go ahead and watch Lovecraft Country because it is awesome. But it's intense. You need a palate cleanser, like a musical or something in between because it's really heavy. So Jordan Peele, J.J. Abrams, and Misha Green produced Lovecraft Country, which is about a young man who comes back from Vietnam and looks for his father, and he's missing in the segregated South. And magic, monsters, strange portals into other dimensions where you start to rewrite history and rewrite yourself. It happens. It's insane.
It reads like, because of the influences that it comes through, it's almost like if you took an Arthurian legend and you put it in segregated Black America and how they're dealing with these problems, but with those sci-fi and fantasy elements that are brought in. And so you have the hero's journey that we see through, and it's really great. It's really strong. The side quests and all of the way it all swirls together in the end, just so strong. There is a comic book. There's a comic book element to it.
Yes. And that is where I came in.
And that is you are the artist of the comic book.
Yes. Jada Harris plays Diana Freeman, who is a teenage girl whose father creates something called a green book. So he goes to the South during the 50s and finds which places actually serve people of color and which do not, which is very dangerous work. And it was based off of something that a postal worker did in the early 1950s, late 1940s. And her mother, who wants to be an astronomer, but it was kind of, pushed out of those circles. She just shares her love of the stars with her daughter. And so her daughter, seeing all of this, makes these hand-drawn comics out of the things that she finds around her home. Her father is Panther Man. Hats off to Black Panther. And her mother is Oruthia Blue, who's a space explorer, and she interprets their wants and desires and their adventures into these little books. And I was responsible for creating them, teaching Jada Harris on set how to draw, and I influenced some of the designs of Arithia Blue. And originally they wanted to give her an afro, which is awesome. I'm all about a proper afro, but I know my grandmother would not have wanted to have worn an afro. My aunts, who were teenagers during the 70s, they would have definitely have wanted an afro. Mm-hmm. But during the 50s, you were rocking a hair comb. You had the hot comb on the stove that was dangerously close to your scalp, and your hair was always straightened because that was the style of the day. It wasn't a
step away from a conch.
Hair was not welcome.
Yeah. What do they call that? It was a conch, right? That they used to do. I remember Malcolm X telling the story about like where they would like frighteningly straighten their hair with like toxic chemicals and.
Oh yeah, the relaxers, hair relaxers, lye, and different dangerous solvents, or just a hot comb and hope it doesn't rain that day. So I decided to kind of give her a little Betty Rubble hairstyle, and I drew what it was they asked, and I was just like, but the Betty Rubble, because my grandma, my grandmother would, she would just plead with me. She says, well, perhaps you can relax your dreads. I have dreadlocks. And they were like, you could straighten them, and then the parts that aren't locked, you could cut off. She was very gently trying to convince me that my hair was a tragedy and that I would never be loved or hired. And I was like, oh, I understand your fears. That was real for you. So I wanted to make sure that I accurately put that fear into the hairstyle of the character. And so they said, yeah, this was great. Do it. We'll make the hair blue. I was like, yes, that was my one droplet.
No, I think you had more than just one droplet here. But I do think that is very interesting, too, that when you work with a production company and you talk about the history of these things and you talk about it, and obviously, Chris Rock's documentary Good Hair, like the pursuit, especially among African-American women, and like what is expected of hair at that time, and being sort of of the time, and I guess if we want to say gave it French a la mode, which means something very different in the food industry. But keeping that current and everything, and keeping it, being aware of sort of the reality of the time while still keeping it rooted in science fiction, I think is important. Right. Like you get the Betty Rubble, but it's blue. It's a sci-fi version of something that would be contemporary at the time. And they're very lucky to have had you in that.
No, thank you. So, it was incredible. I got to work on set because I was living in Atlanta at the time, and it was about 15 minutes away from my home where it was filmed. And I'd never seen anything like that before. I'm usually a part of the post-production where they send me a little bit of a script, a trailer, and the costumes, but I was present to see the sets being built. Each of those sets, each of those rooms, some of them were filmed in Chicago, some out in the countryside of Georgia, but the churches, the apartments, the observatory, everything was built on set. There was so much care and detail. And Misha Green, the executive producer, she went out of her way to find as many skilled men and women of color. To be perfectly honest, I hate that term because everybody has color. Nobody's transparent or translucent, but you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. She found as many brown people as she could, the best of the best, to come and do the wardrobe. So on and off camera, she made a consolidated effort to hire Black people for this.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is really important.
Absolutely. It was her choice. That was what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
And she did it.
Yeah, I mean that it's very important, I think, especially in situations like that where it is a very grisly part of American history that, let's be honest, it truly only affected African Americans in that regard. Like white people weren't put out by Jim Crow. They just did it because, naughty. Like it's bad. That was it. Like they were the perpetrators of that. So I think it is important for the descendants of those affected by it the most would work on something like that, where obviously diversity and having a lot of different voices and flavors and everything is important, but in something that's so Afrocentric, it would be important to have people work on that would be affected by it.
Absolutely. And I think it was very medicinal in certain ways. There were a lot of people who hadn't heard of Black Wall Street. They hadn't heard of this event at all, and this was a way for them to learn about it and not feel like they were responsible for it.
Yeah,
here's a way for you to be educated without saying like you are the bad guy.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, no, this is what happened. We have to honor the past and heal. Healing is the objective.
Agreed.
Saying that was a horrible thing. This is how we don't repeat that.
Watchmen. It's funny because we bring up like the Black Wall Street thing like that, and I remember when Watchmen came out, the amount of people that did not hear about Tulsa, they had just never heard. They were like, "What are you talking about?" And it's like, yeah, that's kind of something that we should be paying attention to. Like, these are the things that we think about and we talk about, like a thriving community, and the threat that people felt from that is genuinely just, it's wild. It's unfortunate, of course.
Absolutely. But one thing that I shared some of these with my dad, but because of the horror content, he didn't really want to watch a lot of it. He was like, did that person just come apart?
Was he not interested in that? Yeah.
I mean, he's not big into horror. He's like, this is gruesome. This is upsetting my stomach. I mean, some of the stuff is pretty, like, people get eaten by Lovecraftian monsters.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny when you work on something like that and it jars somebody and you're like, okay, but it's like not real, right? Like that's like not a thing.
People can't. Well, some people are, very sensitive to gore, and when I hear some of my dad's stories, I can understand it. He's seen a lot of horrible things.
I get it.
He's an oil painter and a physicist and a teacher,
of course,
former officer in the military, and actually, we would have all of these conversations about science fiction. We would watch Star Trek.
Wait. So Star Wars. I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, so your father is also like a Renaissance person in much in the same way that you are. That it's somebody that is immersed in very deep, but very different pockets of this world, being literally like the physical sciences and then art. And being immersed in both of those things, so that makes so much more sense. So. You make more sense now that you've said that.
Family.
if you're the slouch, boy, my family is just a big old pile of crap because we ain't doing half the shit you guys are doing.
Nah, I mean, well, my father grew up in Alabama, and he had to really fight in order to do the things that he wanted to do. He was an oil painter and a sculptor and a farmer, and he did all of these different things because that's what needed to be done. Like, he wanted to explore the sciences, and he wanted to get into these different things, but he felt that there was a connection, just like the Renaissance artist of old, that art and math were synonymous, that the more you studied math and geometry and physics, the better you could understand art, and vice versa, that one was just sort of a reflection of the other. And he wanted to instill that in me also, but allow me to find my own path. So my older sister is a systems engineer for a company that I can't say.
Of course, and we don't have to
kill me. She's literally a hidden figure. And I guess because I saw those things, and it was like, okay, well, you can pursue more than one thing at the same time. You just don't sleep and have fewer friends.
I've only recently started to like make sure and ensure that I get rest. And it's something,
it is a new concept.
It's something that I've had to explain to people that are just like overextending. And I'm just like, if you're overextending, but you're not allowing yourself to rest, you're wasting your overextension, because you will not be at your best. And
I agree.
And the unfortunate aspect of that is that if you're working hard without the ability to be rested, all that hard work just doesn't look good.
You're right.
You know, like
you're absolutely right.
I think about that a lot with like going to the gym is a good example where it's like, I'm going to do 2-a-days. And it's like, well, I'm 41. You know, like maybe I don't need to do 2-a-days because my body will fall apart. I've been dealing with it right now. Like my joints are my like I'll roll an ankle, and then in correcting of that, the way I walk, the other knee gets sore because I'm like favoring it. Yeah, yesterday I got like Wednesday I got like an elbow thing. And now I'm like I went into boxing this morning and I tried to do, and I was like, oh, I can't even throw a punch. Like I couldn't even. And it was just like, maybe I need to relax. Maybe I need to just rest up a little bit. But I refuse to allow myself that.
An aggressive masseuse.
That I do need that. And unfortunately,
it helps.
But it's so hard to get when you are a bigger guy and you need somebody to just like, I guess I need you to need me. Pardon the homophone there.
Yes,
but like,
you need someone to take their elbow.
And get in there.
Really get in there. Like muscles are tightening up because they're trying to protect you, and you've got to infiltrate their forces. And
it's like I need you to harm
this into a comic book.
Me. That's it. You absolutely have to do that. But I do, like I'll go to a masseuse and I'll be like, deep tissue, and then I'll be like not soft enough. I was like, I said deep. Please hurt me. Like I don't know. Like
we don't do that here.
I'm like, I'm not angry at you, but I'm also paying like kind of a lot of money. I need you to you to really right now. I need you to make it so that you think I won't be able to walk out of here when I'm done. That's my base level.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I guess that's a slight masochism, but it is also like a good painful massage is just so good.
No, I had a really bad slip and fall where I landed on my neck, which is awful.
What are you, a cartoon? How do you slip and fall on your neck?
I fell down the stairs.
I was like chasing a cartoon mouse. Like, how do you fell down the stairs and you fell on your neck?
Horrible landlord. And I couldn't even sue because I guess the laws in the state were like, well, you knew about the leak. And I was like, yes, I asked him to fix it for months. But anyway,
wait, where was this?
This was in Georgia.
State. Come on, get your shit together, Georgia.
It's got its ups and downs. Great produce, bad laws.
There's like, I hate to break it to you, but there's better produce other places. Like
this is true. I don't have to endure, bodily harm for good grapes.
Yeah, like you're just like, what I love is this romaine. And they're like, they have that like literally everywhere. Like
all of the places.
Yeah. Although I get it. But, like I have an egg thing at my the farmer's market that I go to where like all eggs now are garbage compared to the ones I get at this one farmer's market.
I didn't get physical therapy for that and until I had Batman neck and I couldn't really move my neck without moving. Where are they? Like I couldn't move my head and independently of my shoulders. It was pretty bad. So I got a chiropractor and that was helping, but it wasn't until I found a masseuse who was this like Polynesian woman with hams like yams.
Oh, I love it.
Just like I was like, oh, bless you, child. Just go on ahead and just crush all of these terrible muscles that are bunched up in my shoulders.
Yeah, because they're in shock.
Wonderful. Yeah,
like you need somebody to slap them out of it. I remember the last massage that I went to was kind of not great because it wasn't like I asked for deep tissue, but it was more like Swedish. But like I did look above the bed was a long pole that like going
for someone
over it for someone to stand on it. And I was kind of like, well, what do I have to pay for to get that thing? Because like they didn't use it. And I'm like, well, if this thing isn't what you're using, like when do you use that? Because deep tissue seems like the ultimate one. Like that's what I wanted. Like I wanted you up there and I wanted you to like drop on me like Randy Macho Man Savage and just off the top rope.
I need a Bane Batman back break right now.
Yes.
Like that's what I need.
Yeah, that I do like. Oh, that feels like I look at that. I'm like, oh, it would be nice. It would be nice. to have Bane come up on me. It's so funny you brought that up. That's the subject of one of my shows, Effing Nerds, that I'm doing with Stefan Nilsson. Is we're doing Nightfall, a 2-parter about Nightfall, and the first one we talked with Chuck Dixon, and then the second one we talked with Graham Nolan, and I was like, oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah, that show should be dropping soon, if not already. But yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, so that I do miss like a good massage, and it is something that like it's such a skill to have. It is. That somebody that knows how to like feel where you're and like just be like, okay, you need me to dig my thumb right here, and they do it, and you're like, oh, you figured it out. Like you're not. Does that when you're drawing? I know I'm gonna be jumping around, but when you're
That's okay.
when you're doing arts, do you like kind of lock up a little bit? Do you have to get that taken care of?
I do.
Yeah.
Actually, I see a chiropractor every 2 weeks.
Are you a lefty or a righty?
Righty.
Okay. And does he primarily work on like loosening up and evening out your body sort of symmetry there?
Oh yeah, my neck will tighten up, and then it'll make my hips rotate to one side, and then it'll make one foot shorter than the other.
Yeah. Well, so
he's gotta,
We always favor a leg when we stand, and that is the worst because we sort of hip out and everything like that. That'd be so funny if we're just talking about chiropractic work this whole time. I had this one doctor after I was in a bad car wreck where I didn't feel bad until the next morning. Like I got out of the car and I was like, wow, I can't believe it. I'm invincible. And then the next morning I woke up and like my muscles had seized. They were just in shock the first time, And this woman, she came up and she did the thing where she like checks the spine alignment. She was like, okay, hold on. And then she like just puts like my one leg over and she puts her body on my hip and just like does like a thrust down. And she like released ghosts out of my body. It was like, do. And I was just like, oh.
Manual adjustments.
I couldn't, and I crack my neck all the time, and she saw me do it one time and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm an idiot. And she's like, you sure are. You sure are. So you're like, one of the things that you're known for is that you actually won a Top Cow contest back in like 2008 with Mark Bernardin and Adam Freeman, right?
Yes.
Is that the yoga-y Adam Freeman?
If Adam Freeman did yoga, that's news to me.
See, okay, so it's probably not the same one. I have a friend, Adam Freeman, that works in the comics industry, and he's like a bald white guy with that does a lot of yoga stuff. So you did this book, Genius.
Yes.
What was Genius?
That was my first cover-to-cover comic. I think prior to that, I'd been doing all covers and pinups and things like that, and that was the first. Oh my god, what am I doing?
Sequential art is so different than pinup art. It's really funny when
for some reason people still read it.
It's funny when you hear the people like when people are like, what are you guys looking for? And like every editor is like, stop showing me a portfolio of pinups. We don't need pinups. We need sequentials. We need to know stories. You can tell a story with your art. And that is such a different. It's such a different. So how did that feel when you finally were going there? Because when you look at that, like Mark Bernardin, he's doing great. Since in 2008, you both have really skyrocketed. And Adam, I'm sure, depending on which Adam you are, good for you. I bet you're doing great. I treasure and adore you. What was that like?
There are. Oh, you know what? I think I know what you're talking. I think I know who you're talking about. Atom. ATOM, and then there's Adam. So this is the one.
I'm going to do a spoiler alert. ATOM is just Adam anyway.
I know.
But yes, that is the guy. That's the different one.
So I know that one, but that's not the one who worked on this.
Okay. See, that's small world.
But yes, it is a small world. I know Adam. I'm glad he's doing yoga. This was my first cover-to-cover comic. I was still working at a jingle house. Actually, I think I was just fired.
Fired?
I was at a jingle house, and they were paying me so little. And I was doing freelance covers during my lunch breaks since I was kind of doing everything there and they weren't paying me as a session vocalist.
Oh.
And I was like, I have to become a West Indian and have tree jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing comics, I was working at a jingle house, and I was doing all these other things. And I went on a vacation to San Diego Comic-Con, which was my first vacation ever.
Ooh, when was this?
2006, maybe 2004.
My first one was 2007.
Really?
Yeah, I got brought in as a consultant for a production company.
Hey, get in where you fit in.
They were.
However you get in those crazy doors.
Shout out to Selma Hayek for funding my trip out to San Diego. I mean, I never met her, obviously, but for believing that I could find them good comic properties that they could find a way to adapt, and then it turns out they were not interested.
Oh well, hey.
But hey, that was it.
Believed in you.
That was right before the big boom too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I went there, and it might have been even earlier, maybe even 2004. And I walked up to Mark Silvestri, one of the founders of Image Comics.
All 6'12" of him.
My gosh, he is the only person who was cool enough to wear his shades at all times indoors.
And leather pants.
You know what? No sweating, not a drop of sweat on that man's brow. And I was like, oh, you're a tall man. Oh, well, that was my internal voice, but I just said, wow, I love and appreciate your work. May I buy something? And would you be willing to sign it? And so I bought one of his books. He signed it, and I just handed him a little postcard with some of my work on it and my awful website. And he actually recognized one of my pieces. And I was like,
really? What was the piece? Do you remember?
It was a cover for a book called Half Dead, which was an accidental Marvel cover. It was when Marvel was doing all of these zombies. Mm-hmm. Everyone was a zombie. Hulk was a zombie. Zombie. And there was a book that had gotten picked up from the Dable brothers to Marvel called Half Dead, about a ballerina that's kind of like Blade. Everybody turns into zombies.
Blade Arena. Yeah. Got it.
Yes. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so I'd done the cover to that, and he recognized it. And so 6 months later, I got asked to do my first cover comic with Mark and Adam on it. I was on the short list, but everybody else who was awesome was busy. So they asked me.
You're like, I'm too busy getting fired, so I'm fine.
You know, I mean, but it's not bad to be on a list with like Kari Randolph and Brian Stelfreeze. I was just glad to be in the room.
Yeah, right. Oh man, I think was it Top Cow? I think a friend of the show, Mike Choi, worked with them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So they were doing something called Pilot Season, which 6 one-shots compete for the reader's choice to become an ongoing, or at least a short mini series. And mine won, especially with a big bump from Warren Ellis, who is my friend. He read it, and he was like, this is amazing.
Not a bad bump to get, especially at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. And after that, it kind of made more sense to do comics than be a singer. Because I felt like what I wanted to do at the time, which was make an album where a cartoon sang for me instead of me having to lose 50 pounds.
You wanted to do a Gorillaz.
Elastic bands. I did. But they were like, that would never work. I mean, I spoke to a lot of different people. Like I was literally in the room when John Legend's album artwork had been approved at Sony. I was in the room when Rihanna was recording her first album. I was all of these different places, but I just felt like what they wanted me to be, because I kind of sounded like a cross between a watered down Brandy and Lauryn Hill.
Just
watered down. Like I'm nowhere near.
That's not, but sometimes that synthesis is important. I do want to say though, like the doubt, because it's funny because, this was probably the mid 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
That like you know, you have a look that is very marketable, and I really I get why these record labels didn't want to do that, because they would be like, save the cartoon for an ugly person. Not say sorry, Damien Album. But you know, like I understand why they rejected that, but also that's not a bad idea at all. And clearly it had already achieved mainstream success. I mean, how many best-selling albums had the Gorillaz had by then? At least 2.
I think I had been trying to do this since 2002.
Oh, wow. Yeah. 9/11 really affected you, huh?
Yeah. I was heading to the towers that day and just missed it.
Wait, I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, it's a very strange story.
So we're just going to I'm going to accident my way into you almost got 9/11. Jesus Christ. Boy.
I was living in New York, and I was the only ID that I had was my Coast Guard military ID, because I lived on Governor's Island, which was a military base that at the time was active, but had just been, you know, they were slowly moving people off of the island then. And it's an island that's in New York, in between Brooklyn and Manhattan. If you've ever been to the Staten Island ferry, you'll see Governor's Island. And I was headed there. I was living in Queens, and I would have had to have taken the N train to the E train, which the last stop was World Trade Center, and it was right underneath the World Trade Center. And unfortunately, the people who were there at the time at that stop and all of the trains that were behind them were completely buried underneath. But I was living with a bunch of roommates, and one of them had a cat which really loved shoelaces. And strangely enough, all of my sensible shoes were not in the closet. They had been whisked away by this black cat that decided I wasn't going to have shoes that day other than the lone pair of pumps that I had. And I was like, I'm not wearing pumps like across Manhattan when I've got to like get on a ferry, and you know it's going to be slippery, and I need to run. Like, I need my sneakers, I need my boots. I have no idea where they are. Is someone playing a trick on me? And so I call my roommates and I was like, are you guys messing with me? They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I can't find any of my shoes. I need to get my ID. I need this job. And they said, well, I don't think you're really going anywhere, because I think New York's just been attacked. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I had just actually I just lost a job at the World Trade Center. I was a waitress when I was off tour. I was a waitress, and I had a job at Windows on the World during the morning shift.
Jesus
so
Christ.
My coworkers, you know, who were there from 8 a.m. to set up everything to noon for the lunch shift, all of them passed away, unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
But yeah. So it was insane that I lost that job. April of 2001?
Jeez, so that's 5 months away. Yeah.
And then I'm supposed to be heading to the towers, and a cat steals my shoes.
That doesn't seem real. That seems
like it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it does help that I only had 3 pairs of shoes and 2 of them were sneakers. So
that's fair, but Jesus Christ, that is just boy. I stumbled onto that like I was falling down some stairs and landing on my neck. Jesus Christ. I don't know. So we're gonna take a moment now that we've gotten through the comedy of narrowly avoiding 9/11,
nearly dying, and familiars
by having a black cat save you like you're a witch.
I mean,
not mad
I'm
about.
I'm not even going to tell you about the dream that I had. We'll skip that.
So I'm going to. I don't know if you know this, but if you are listening to this show for free, thank you so much. I appreciate you listening for free. If you're listening on the Patreon, I appreciate you way more. Sorry, those people are giving me money, and they get to listen to this on my birthday. So how great is that? But that being said,
yes,
I know. If you go to patreon.com/JeffMay and sign up, not find out, around and find out on my Patreon. If you sign up for the producer tier, you can pay me just a small amount of money, and I will say literally anything you want. I am shameless. I will do anything for an additional $5 a month from you. So,
oh my.
So, Afua, yeah, literally anything. So I'm gonna read off some names, Afua, and we can talk about them sometimes. And we're gonna start out with a big shout out to Norm from Cheers. Shout out to, I know, the real one.
What?
Yeah. George Wendt. No, I don't think it is. But no, it's not. Wouldn't that be nice though? If George Wendt also told people like, hey, by the way, I go by Norm from Cheers from now on. Shout out to Burrito Mouth, Dan Hackroyd. Since it's October, that means it's Halloween. And if it's Halloween, then it's basically Thanksgiving. So if it's Thanksgiving, then it's essentially Christmas. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Are you a holiday person?
I am actually.
What's your
decorating?
What's your preferred holiday?
Thanksgiving, actually.
Thanksgiving. That is a curveball.
I like to cook.
I always feel like Thanksgiving is halftime. Thanksgiving is the holiday halftime.
Right.
So I'm a Christmas guy. I'm so Christmassy.
Yeah?
I have big time.
Yay.
I decorate fully decorate.
Yeah.
And
I have a small collection of nutcrackers.
This is gonna sound vaguely uncomfortable and potentially, if it doesn't come out right, a little racist. But I have a not so small collection of black Santas. All of my Santas are black. And the reason for that is because, and people, I have this argument with people all the time when they're like, oh, Santa's not black. I'm like, Santa's not anything. So why not make him black? Like, why not have a good black guy breaking into your house to leave things? That's a way better character to exist. But I have a lot of black Santas, and it makes some people.
I have a Mexicano Santa.
Really?
Yeah, he's got a sombrero.
I mean, that's also vaguely racist, I think.
And a poncho. It is
a poncho racist. And a sombrero. You're
I'm
like,
saying.
And he's asleep. He's napping, having a little siesta, and there's a 12-pack of Taco Bell next to him. It's the most racist thing I've ever bought.
Super racist. That's what you find in thrift stores in the South.
You know who carries a good amount of Black Santa? Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel goes for it, man. They are all about it.
It's all year long for them.
It sure is. I think Cracker Barrel is maligned. It's unfairly maligned as like a gross white people restaurant. And it's not. It's just Southern. And people hear the word cracker and they're like, it's white people. But it's not. And they're like a surprisingly progressive restaurant. But they just happen to be from the South. And so people are like, Hicks, only South Hicks.
Kids, they get hit, with the SADs pretty often.
Yeah.
But Cracker Barrel's all right.
I love Cracker Barrel, man. People know.
They have good grits.
People know about Cracker Barrel. Their hash brown casserole. Put it in my veins. Man. Put it in my veins. Shout out to Jeff May, believe that there is no better streaming service than Tubi to watch Armand Assante movies. That's probably correct. I don't know.
Who?
Armand Assante? Famed actor. He was the bad guy in the Judge Dredd Stallone movie. He's in a bunch of stuff. Yeah. But I love Armand Assante. I don't know why. I follow him on Facebook and I always comment on his stuff. I'm always like, you look great, Armand Assante. It's just fun. We have fun with him.
That is fun. Hooray. Forgive me.
Shout out to Jocular Haggard, Cantankerous Fool. That's a JHCF reference because Jeff has cool friends. Shout out to Vortispin, Zex Merquise, the Itty Bitty Millie Committee. Kelly says, get your booster, you gaslighting dip turds. Man, have you been boosted again?
I have not.
You?
I actually have to get tested everywhere I go because I can't actually take the vaccine.
Oh no. Are you allergic?
Yeah. I am.
To what?
I can't even take penicillin. My skin starts peeling off.
Really?
Like
Is it an ingredient that you're allergic to, or is it just the concept of medicine?
I don't.
Because that's going to be a big problem for you.
They haven't quite narrowed it down yet. I'm still going through the test to figure out what it is, but it's kind of I've actually been like that my whole life. When I got just regular old chicken pox, I had it for like 3 years.
Jesus Christ.
I just kept getting it over and over again. I'm like, oh no, you're one of those people. Don't do any of that stuff. Nope, you're fine.
Have you caught COVID?
I did.
Yeah.
It lasted about 4 days.
Yeah.
And it was terrible.
Yeah.
But I work from home, so I self-quarantined, and I haven't gotten sick since then.
Good, yeah. I got it once, and I was like, this fucking sucks.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Did you ever get your sense of smell back?
I did. Yeah, no. I mean, I haven't had a great sense of smell anyway because my nose is broken, but
stop hitting it.
That was what I wanted to say to the guy who did that. But we were in the ring and he wouldn't listen. That was shout out to the Golden Gloves for breaking my nose. Also shout out to the guy who played JJ in Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. Shout out to Lisa Harden, Jessica Robertson, Silius Ruby, The Digital Phil, The Ghost of Dave Thomas, The Great Radvertising Scam, a Jeff May joint. It's coming. Radvertising is coming, everyone. That's a show that I was telling you about when we were on the phone.
Oh, yeah. Rad.
Advertising. Shout out to Aaron Meyer. El Celdo would like to thank you, Jeff, for introducing us to your cool friends. You're welcome.
Yay. Oh, that's so kind.
In Soviet Russia, we have cool Jeffs. Shout out to shout out to it was me, Jeff. I've been giving you $10 a month since the beginning so you could afford more gas station Pop-Tarts, keeping you sluggish just slow enough for me to steal Christmas. Do you have a road trip food?
Excuse me?
What's your road trip food? Like your road trip junk food? Stop at a gas station and you're like, I'm hungry. I got to grab something. What do you get? Yeah, that's too much information. Yeah, you weren't ready for that.
Almonds.
Almonds?
Yeah, I know. They're these like honey roasted almonds. They're smoky.
Yeah, that's boring. But yeah, all right, good for you.
It is. I know. I just
here I am cramming Pop-Tarts in my face like a monster. And you're like, almonds are really what I want. Not me. I'm getting diabetes on the road. Mm-hmm. And pizzeria pretzel combos. I like those too. Shout out to Cronenberger Meisterburger. 3 Jacob Tremblays in a trench coat sneaking into an R-rated movie. Parker Aylesworth is not that tall. He's got fake legs. Shout out to Christy Salinas. Kale's only true purpose is as the garnish at a 1996 Pizza Hut buffet. Did you have like a trash pizza that you like? Like a real bottom of the barrel fast food style pizza?
Ooh. Nope.
No.
I make my own.
You make your own?
I'm a pizza snob.
God.
I know. I used to go to this pizzeria in the Bronx that gave you like literally a foot-sized slice of pizza for $2. And I've been spoiled ever since. And now I just make my own.
Yeah, you just make your own giant slices of pizza. When you make the pizza, do you make it in slice form? So you just be like, well, I'm just getting it all there.
I'll make it in a square.
What are your toppings?
Bell peppers, mushrooms, Italian sausage, pepperoni.
Wow, you were in New York, huh?
Yes, sir.
Although those are Chicago toppings. That's like a Chicago Supreme.
I'm in Illinois now.
Yeah.
So I'm now in black olives. Gotta have some black olives.
I like pepperoni, ricotta, and green onions.
Green onions.
Green onions. A nice little scallion on there.
Okay.
Shout out to the @thepajamarai on Instagram for pictures of my feet. So of strength. Shout out to Verbose Minimalist, world's humblest man. Adam Warlock, he wants your soul. Shout out to Ass of Bass. Shout out to the local man at Gavin_not with 2 T's. Jen, be earnest, enjoy what you love. I love that when I get, and I've mentioned this before on the show, I get all these like dirtbag names. And then sometimes someone just shows up and just be like, just be nice to each other. And I'm like, bless your heart. Shout out to Nicholas, simply having a wonderful man bun time. Fabian. That is a good reference to the Therese Curatolo episode where she loves all things McCartney and man buns. To which I said, oh, I'm the opposite person of that. Shout out to Gotham City's OSHA. Shout out to Jeff May convinced me to quit Twitter, and you should quit too because it's awful. I don't care for pie. Oh, God, it feels so good to finally get that off my chest.
What?
That's what they told me to say. You know?
Oh, okay.
I actually love pie. Do you have a favorite pie?
Key lime.
Key lime. Yeah.
Yes.
Key lime. I like a fruit pie. I used to be a chocolate pie kind of guy, and now I am a fruit pie kind of guy.
I love
did I do this twice? In Soviet Russia, we have cool Jeffs. That one seems like that was on already. Did I read that twice? Good for me.
There's another in Soviet Russia.
You get the Aldo Vargas rookie card, everybody. Shout out to Bauhaus. Bauhaus. Shout out to Koi Pham, art and mentoring. Do you know Koi Pham?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, friend of the not only is he a friend of the show and a guest, he is also a producer.
Oh.
And
he is an incredible artist.
He's so good.
I've been meaning to ask him what he prints his incredible prints on. That paper is fabulous.
All right, Koi. Well, answer her. I'm assuming he listens to the show, so we'll get that.
Show.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably going to be because you're going to Baltimore, right?
I am.
Yeah, that sounds like something he'd be at, right? He'll be there.
Mm-hmm. I hope so.
Shout out to
buy his prints.
I have several pieces of originals from him.
No.
I have
you were saying.
I have a sketch. I have a 11 by 17 commission, and I have another one that I got through Hero.
Cool.
When I saw he was doing one of those events during the pandemic, I was like, sign me up for that.
Heck yeah.
I like the Hero initiative there. Shout out to Nolan Void, Ricky Cilantro, Big Booty Boy for 2069. Maine, more than Stephen King. I know that. I've been there before. I went to college there.
Really?
I went to the University of Maine at Farmington. It's not where I got my degree, but it is where I spent the majority of my time.
I've never been to Maine.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
You know, it's not bad for me, a large white man. I would not suggest people that do not look exactly like me going to Maine. It's the south of the north. I mean, that's not fair. That's totally not fair. And I shouldn't have said it like that. It's great and it's wonderful. And the people of Maine are fantastic. And there's never any racists in Maine. It's a weirdly religious, like
they're racist everywhere. It's like grass.
Yeah, it's one of those fine. Like the religious pockets in Maine. It definitely has like cult energy sometimes.
Sure.
The further,
anytime you're the other, somebody's gonna point fingers and call the police on you.
Jumping rope, still a sport. Jeff not liking it, still a fact. That's not true. I did it today. Big bouncing big bag, bodacious big bad bouncing bollock bonanza. Big, oh, I like that. Shout out to Jennifer Fendelander at AV Foundry, Patrick Dore. Sorry, dude, I keep that up, but that does mean I get to focus more on your name, and that's exciting for you, right? Shout out to Bart Fardigan, Roan's the best cat. R.I.P. to the best cat. He was a good cat. Shout out to Huey, Nerd Numbers. Shout out to Rudy, Daft Punk has an anime, Rueda. Did you know that?
What?
Daft Punk has an anime.
Oh.
I know.
What is it called?
I guess we should Google Daft Punk anime and find that out.
Find out.
Jeff hates competitive fun. It's one of those JHCFs. Well, because I do a show called You Don't Even Like Sports. Sports podcast for people that hate sports. And so people like to make jokes that I do not like sports. And they also like to make JHCF acronyms. So.
How many podcasts do you have?
Too many. Some would say too many. for between regular shows and monthly shows, it's let's see. For regular shows, it's this. I do Unpopular Opinion. You don't even like sports, and Tom and Jeff watch Batman. For monthly shows, I do Ugh Fine. I'm doing Effing Nerds. I'm doing Nerd. So that's 8.
8. Good.
Is that 8? 7? 8? I don't know. That's a lot. Some would say too many. Not me though, because I like to eat. So I'm gonna keep doing it. Shout out to Goji. Shout out to Gregorio. Odessin Molotov says, topple the patriarchy. Get pegged today.
Oh.
Yeah. Sometimes they go for it sometimes. Shout out to Gerard Ruane. Shout out to Farty Marty's Nerdy Party. Shout out to Eat and Die Grand Canyon. That's a reference to the fact that I do not give a about the Grand Canyon.
Really?
Why would I? You know what it looks like? A picture of the Grand Canyon. I've seen those. I don't need to go.
Okay.
If you put me at the Grand Canyon and be like, that is the Grand Canyon, I'd be like, yeah, I saw the postcards. I don't have
I'd rather
that.
Be at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, honestly.
Oh, don't monkey's paw that or else you're gonna fall off the ledge of the Grand Canyon.
No, walking preferably.
You want to walk down to the Grand Canyon?
No, can I parasail down that motherfucker? I don't know.
That doesn't seem healthy either.
My way to the middle of
you want to base jump the Grand Canyon? Yeah, that'll be fun.
Take a photo and then airlift out of there. Like,
I'll just get someone with Photoshop to put me at the Grand Canyon and be like, see, there was me at the Grand Canyon. I nailed that shit.
I like hiking and walking and
I
doing something besides sitting at my desk.
Okay, I don't hate that, but I feel like certain places are a little too built up for what they are.
True.
I like the serenity of the woods, but I'm not like, you know what woods you have to go to? Like, I've been to the redwoods and I was like, yeah, these are the woods. This is what the woods are.
That's true.
Show me in the rules where it says a dog can't play basketball. Gray Man of the Nightmare Potluck. Everyone is welcome at the table. Shout out to Jeff using Deep Blue Sea memes to break bad news. Somebody called me out for not using a Deep Blue Sea meme when Angela Lansbury just died.
Oh.
They were like, where's the meme? Do the meme. Shout out to Tyler
I'm not a performing monkey.
Yeah. Dance. I mean, I am. I literally am. I literally dance for $5 at a time. It's a whole ass thing.
It's vocal dancing.
In a way, yeah. Yeah. Sure. It's tiring, but in a way that my dad doesn't respect me for it. Yeah.
Does your dad still give you the when are you going to get a real job?
My dad doesn't say anything to me. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't spoken really to my dad since like 2016. My dad got kind of abducted by Fox News. Although I don't think it was a difficult abduction, to be fair.
Okay. No, I'll feel you.
Yeah, this is there's a lot of, I wouldn't call it Stockholm syndrome is what I'm saying. I think he's not disagreeing with a lot of that stuff. So shout out to Tyler Wilgus asking 7. In the time since he changed his name on this document, Jezbot had a kid, got a new job, and got COVID. Jezbot, you have not changed that name in a while, so hey, buddy, I hope you still don't have COVID or that it did not kill you.
Congratulations, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to take some lysine.
You're congratulating him for COVID?
No. Didn't he get a new job? Children's?
Yeah, that was the joke, but that's fine. We'll just roll right through it.
I don't think it's fine.
Shout out to Kimball, the casual Frankenstein.
What does he just have stitches but no green skin?
I think no suit.
Flat-headed because his mom just rests books on his head.
Well, Frankenstein wears like a suit, right?
Sure.
So like maybe he's just wearing like a t-shirt.
Oh.
It's an optimal Frankenstein. Remember when they had the sexy Frankenstein movie where he wore like a hoodie? What was it? It was I, Frankenstein. That was a hard one for me to remember.
God,
with the...
It's terrible. I try to make myself forget, I think.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Shout out to the Target Loss Prevention Officer currently hunting Jeff. I shoplift M&Ms whenever I go to Target. It's the only way for me to feel alive.
Oh.
Shout out to Steven.
I will send you M&Ms.
No, I don't want free M&Ms from you. I want to take M&Ms from Target. It's my victory. I'm having trouble reading this name because I'm illiterate. Cody Beck, Mike Gouts. Shout out to Lisa McCarty at Comics Book Girl, comics with an X, girl with a U. Also, she works at Austin Books and Games. If you're ever in Austin, check out that store. It is great. Shout out to Aeschylus and his tortoise. It's a good reference to the game show I was on. Congratulations for me not knowing that one. They will not let me forget that I did not know an answer.
Oh.
I still won.
Never forget.
Yeah, I had to lie my way through it, but at least I got close. Shout out to Dr. DNA. Shout out to Hooray for Pontius Pilate. This show brought to you by the scene in Meet Joe Black where Brad Pitt dies. I'm never going to have a history podcast, you little so stop asking. Shout out to Mackenzie. Sisyphus may be happy, but he's into CrossFit, so chill. Instagram and Twitter's at Bob_of_skull. I have a feeling that he's going to come and see you at Baltimore. Because I know he's out there. He listens to the show. He's an art guy. Bob, definitely hit up Afua. Sergeant Pepper's hot dog flavored water. And finally, Lemming. I know. I feel gross just saying that one.
That just put like a weird feeling in my stomach. Like I know exactly what that tastes like for some reason.
Yeah, it's not good.
Why do I know this?
Not good. Not good at all.
Hot dog water.
We have our last one here. If I did not say it, but shout out to Lemming Malloy. If you guys want to be a part of this, you can head over to patreon.com/Jeff May. Sign up for that producer tier, and I will say your name shamelessly because we get there. No one's on the world. You love me, so you wanna change. Bugaboo. Love Bugaboo. Bootylicious, obviously. Bootylicious is one of my favorite songs.
That's awesome.
But we
have to karaoke that.
I will shake my ass. I will be my body to bootylicious for you, babe. Yeah, that's right. I took the Beyonce line.
What is your karaoke song?
Christmas Shoes.
Excuse me?
Christmas Shoes. Christmas Shoes is a song that ruins karaoke for everyone else. And I think it's hilarious to do that song. If you're not familiar with the song, here's a brief synopsis of Christmas Shoes. A man is at like Macy's waiting in line, and there's this little kid holding a pair of shoes. Can't afford the shoes, but needs to buy the shoes because his mother is dying and is gonna meet Jesus tonight. Yeah. It is the most heavy-handed and ridiculous song I could possibly, but it has a beat that you can try to get a crowd to clap along to.
So I pooping in the punch bowl.
I really try to like get the crowd to like sing along about how there's not much time for this kid's mother. And the best is to do it as far away from Christmas as possible, preferably April through July. Because people are like, is this guy singing Christmas Shoes? Is this not singing about the kid's dead mom? It's just really funny to me to do that. It's the crowd killer. How about you? What's your go-to karaoke song?
Wow. Okay, so I've got Lauryn Hill's "Killing Me Softly."
The Fugees' "Killing Me Softly." That's not fair to just give it to Lauryn Hill.
Well, it's true. It's true. I have to tell the karaoke that it's Lauryn Hill / the Fugees, depending on how their book is alphabetized.
Yeah, you need a Pros and a Wyclef to do that. God, The Score is such a good album. It was incredible. I consumed the out of that album when I was a kid. I think I was in like 9th grade when that album came out, and I was just like, I'm never going to stop listening to this. And I was right. So Killing Me Softly. What else?
Softly. Fall Out Boy. Sugar We're Going Down.
That's a good one. Those are basically the same song.
Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun.
Jesus Christ. You are everywhere.
I know.
You know what's funny? I love Chris Cornell and I love Soundgarden. I hate Black Hole Sun as a song. I do. I don't like it. I think the video did most of the heavy lifting for that song. Where when you saw it and you were just like, okay, we're doing this because of the video, right? Because that was a freaky ass video.
Yeah, it was very strange. It was very strange.
That was in the era when I was like VHS recording music videos.
Oh, absolutely.
I was absolutely doing that.
Yeah. Speaking of singing,
what?
I want to sing you happy birthday.
You do? Okay.
I do.
I mean, you can if you want to. Being sung to is interesting because you just kind of
like, I'm just gonna sit here now awkwardly, like
yeah, but you're welcome to do it.
Wait for my name to be said.
You can if you want. I'm not going to stop you from it.
Okay. I mean, I can wait until the end.
You can, okay. So the last thing, I mean, obviously, we talk a lot about the work that you're doing, and you've been doing a lot of these really great covers that you've been doing as well. You've done a lot of these really fun variant covers that really highlight your style. You did a really cool one for X-Men 92. You just recently showed a Warpath piece.
Yes.
And a Danny Moonstar, right?
Marvel is doing their Voices initiative where they're highlighting their different characters, some of which may have been forgotten. Warpath, Mirage, aka Danny Moonstar, as a part of their Indigenous Voices initiative, and they asked either Native American, or in my case, part Native American artist to participate in revamping those characters.
And that, yeah, you are part Native, yeah, Indigenous.
I'm Choctaw.
Ooh, I'm pretending like, ooh, Choctaw.
They were the largest owners of land in the Mississippi. I want to say from like in some of America's earliest beginnings to maybe like the late 1700s.
Fair.
1700s. Yeah. So they were pretty much in Mississippi and parts of Alabama. And that's just on my father's side. And on the other side, they were Cherokee. But Cherokee is such a broad nation. It's like saying California or New York. It doesn't actually specify like who you are or what nation you're a part of, because the name Cherokee just means the people who speak many languages.
Yeah, isn't it something like I remember hearing like the Seminole tribe was a confluence of several other tribes that banded together to sort of
it's maybe 20 of them. Creek as well. Creek had, they were just a part of hundreds of different smaller groups that were named. People, I mean, a lot of the names were taken from either amalgamations of other things, like the Sioux is a French bastardization of the word Nagaisu, which is little snakes, which is what their enemies call them because they revered the snake. Oof. So it's or the Lenape were renamed the Delaware.
That makes sense. Yeah. One of the things I found out recently about the Seminole tribe that just popped in my head, that just came across, they own the Hard Rock.
Really?
Like the brand Hard Rock.
Oh,
isn't that
interesting?
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I was like, good for you guys.
Awesome. Is there a soft rock? I mean,
that would who'd want to go to that? You'd be listening to
rock?
Christopher Cross while you're trying to. It's the Hard Rock, the Soft Rock, and the Yacht Rock. Oh,
God, spare me.
So you but you've been doing that. You post a lot of your art online. It's very I love it. I love that you've brought a unique style that is like one of the things, and I had mentioned this earlier in the podcast, so I'm circling back to it, was what we used to see. And when I was the heaviest into comics was really that sort of early 90s speculation boom, where it was like you had an artist that would do really well. People like a Silvestri, the Image founders, Silvestri, Jim Lee, whatever. And then you had people that were like, well, I want to do that. I'm going to copy that. Essentially, people found their own unique styles, but there was a lot of mimics.
Absolutely, especially since the avenues were a lot smaller.
Yes, and the money was a lot higher. You could make a lot of money aping Jim Lee.
Absolutely.
And now we're seeing a lot more diversified styles.
Yeah, and I think it has a lot to do with sales and what people are willing to put their money on.
Yeah.
Like when people are like, oh, well, I want something more like this now, because comics are so mainstream, there's room to invest in different styles and in different kinds of stories. too. It doesn't have to all just be superhero. It doesn't have to be, so singularly created.
So one of the things, and it's one of these things that, like, I don't know if you were hoping that I wouldn't bring this up, but I'm going to bring it up.
It's okay.
Because it's something that became this viral issue where you had posted some con sketches, some quick con sketches, and somebody that would be considered, I guess you'd say old guard, but I wouldn't really, because they've been at it for a while. But if you started drawing in the 90s, I don't consider you to be an old gatekeeper of this community. I don't believe in gatekeeping, but
so many people who have been doing it way before.
Yes, that would never speak out like that either, because they understand how things change. So you posted a con sketch, and an artist that I will not name because I don't feel like dignifying the action with that, or targeting an artist towards somebody that may not have been properly, didn't seem like it was well put together, but that's fine. Basically, you posted this and somebody came in onto your page, your Facebook page, and just started spewing out like, no, dues weren't paid, and basically accused you of getting work because you're hot. Like, if I can summarize, that you're too hot to be good at art.
And it was an interesting thing. I'd known this artist, not personally, we'd never met. I'd only had conversations with him online, and I know a lot of his colleagues. And literally just 2 weeks before, we were having a great conversation. He did seem a little weird, but artists are weird. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, a weird artist. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, that's par for the course. And he even, when my birthday passed this year, this past April, he drew a picture of me, to say happy birthday. I was like, oh, that's so extra. I wasn't expecting this.
I didn't know that part of the story, and that's actually making some things make a lot more sense, to be 100% honest.
And so maybe my costume at Dragon Con was just a little too pretty, or maybe my convention sketch was just that bad, because I don't know, I didn't think it was that bad. But he posts, no, don't come into my industry without paying dues or being vetted. That's what it was. Don't come into my industry without being vetted. Even at the lowest rungs of the industry, I had to go through, I had to do extremely hard work. You didn't.
That was just like, jarring, because I texted you after I saw that, and I was like, you're good, right? And you're like, yeah, this person is just not, this is fine. But like, but were you lying, or did you really water off a duck's packet? Because I can't imagine hearing somebody say something like that and to not be like at least a little floored.
Oh, I was heated.
Yeah.
I was heated. Because I didn't quite understand what exactly he was getting at. And so I messaged him privately first. I was like, hey man, you okay? Did you like accidentally post on my post instead of somebody else's, or like, what's going on, man? Like, are you okay? And he didn't respond. He just kept replying to, he just kept doubling down. And then other people were replying to him. And I was just like, this is going to get nasty. I'm just going to take a snapshot of this, because he's going to try to rewrite the story as he's defending what it is that he's saying. And so he posted this longer rant on his page. We'll just call him K for now. And K was like, hey, I am tired of these newbies coming into my industry, not paying their dues and not being good enough to do the work. And so I was going to leave it alone, but I was just like, you know what? No.
Yeah, fuck you, dude.
No, fuck this. No, I had just had the last 2 years. I just left an awful relationship with someone who was literally over my shoulder telling me that the only reason that Marvel, DC, Kodansha, Image, any of these places hired me, the only reason I got any job was because I was Black, and that I was a diversity hire, and that none of these people actually cared about me or my work, that none of the people who come over to my table actually like my work. They're just they just want to see themselves doing the job. And I'm just like, what? I literally got away from someone who, because I didn't use my Facebook platform to share their political perspective, that I was a sellout. Jesus. Meanwhile, they paid no bills. They did nothing. And I was just like,
so this person accused you of being a diverse, can I ask what this person's race was? Because that feels like it carries a lot of weight to it as well. If they were also black and commenting on it, or if it was like a white guy or something saying that, like.
Well, the person who I was living with was Jewish. They were a mashup, like Jewish and German. They were white, but like Kay is mixed race. So Kay is half black and half white, and he was sure to mention that. He was like, I can't be racist or sexist because I was raised by a black mammy. And it's like, bruh, stop.
Oh, God. I don't understand how people can double down on. Oh, God.
And so when people were asking him, they were like, Kay, what's going on? And he was like, well, I just gave this newbie a critique and she couldn't handle it because she's too woke. And I'm like, listen, boo-boo. It's really cute of you to come on my page and tell me that I didn't work hard. I don't even exactly know what your argument is. It's like, here are the people who, quote unquote, vetted me. Brian Stelfreeze, Neil Adams, David Mack, Don McGregor.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Gail Simone, Celia Kyle, Sanford Green, Kari Randolph, Travis Charas.
Yeah. Jeez.
Like, how about I put myself through the paces and made sure that I asked them for critique. I even went under an alias and I didn't want people to know that I was black. I didn't want them to know I was a woman. I just wanted them to look at my artwork and tell me what was wrong with it or what they felt was wrong with it.
Yeah.
Because I wanted genuine critique. I didn't want to be patronized. I felt like this rare bird. They're like, oh, we don't want to scare you away. So we're just going to tell you that your work is really good for a girl. I don't want to be fucking good for a girl. I want to be good because I want to tell a story, because I have something that's in my chest and in my heart and on my mind, and I can't say it. I have to draw it because I don't have the words for it. There is no word for this feeling, this color that's in my mind, and I have to get it out, or it's just going to rattle around in my brain like a caged bird, because I trust what it is that I make. Not everything that I say I think is the exact and precise thing that I want to say, and so I can say it in another way with artwork, but I have to chisel my mind to be able to keep up with what's going on in there. And so for him to say that I didn't go through the hard work, or I don't know what the ups and downs are of being an artist, I'm like, my dude, I was homeless at 13. You have no idea who you are talking to right now.
Yeah.
You have no idea what I have endured. You have no idea what I put on the line to be an artist. You get to do what you love, so you never work a day in your life. Shut the
No, that's not how this works. If you people ever saw how much I white knuckle the first half of every week, my Monday through Thursday is me just praying and exhausting myself. Like, like it's, and there's no promised paycheck. Not a one.
Not a single time. Someone might decide, I don't feel like paying you.
But so but you did do this. It's clearly a combination of sour grapes in several ways. One, somebody who wishes their career was at a certain level. They wish they were getting certain jobs. There's a jealousy to that is very clear. We see it very common in men because women are getting equal or closer to equal representation in the comics world, where it used to be a boys club. It was just Ramona and a bunch of dudes, Yeah.
Yeah. I would get asked all the time, like, what are you doing here? You don't need comics. And I'm like, what?
Nobody needs comics. It's what?
Well, apparently they did.
Yeah.
They felt like this was the only place where they were special and exclusive, and that I could go anywhere and, be a part of the cool kids. But they didn't understand that I was just a tall dork who played sports and had a mom that hates her. So I needed to find joy in fiction.
Yeah, there is. I've seen it. I've seen being in the nerd sector and being athletic. People do there is that. There is sort of like a rebuff against it, and I do feel like sometimes it is that I remind myself that I might serve as a reminder for somebody's inability to achieve something, or either through willpower or for any physical reasons that they might have that might not be their faults. I recognize that. It doesn't validate those statements, but I definitely try to have empathy towards it. It reads to me more and more like unrequited flirting that may have caused somebody to sour up.
I didn't even think about that.
I don't draw pictures of my friends for their birthdays.
We're not even that close of friends, I guess.
So that
does make sense.
Did that not cross your path that this guy might just be?
It did not. It did.
I just did that. It took a dude to be like, hey, he probably has a crush on you, and he was mad that it was unrequited. And
it was funny. He was like, well, you're a newbie and you don't know anything about the industry. And I was like, I've been doing this for 17 years.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I started in 1990. I was like, I was 10.
Yeah. What did you want me to do when I was 10?
Classical music.
Yeah.
Like, what are you expecting here? What are you saying? That I'm not middle-aged enough for you?
Yeah. You're gatekeeping the concept of age.
And he's like, no. He's like, what I'm saying is the only reason that any of those artists who you named gave you the time of day was because you were pretty. And I was like, thanks for thinking I'm pretty, but I'm sure companies don't want to lose money. And you know what? When they did, he posted a picture of the character that I drew, which was Danny Moonstar, Mirage. And I guess he had done a Danny Moonstar comic back in the day. And I was just like, when they revamped their indigenous voices, I think Marvel forgot your invitation in the mail.
Sorry, bud.
So I could play the high ground because that's probably better. And I started to get on the offensive, and a lot of people actually started messaging me and saying, please, please, please don't take any of what Kay says to heart, because he's been sort of flaunting his mental illness around for a while. And I was like,
it's not an excuse for behavior, though. That's something that people need to remember, because we see this a lot where people are like, well, I'm neurodivergent, so ... And it's like, no. That's not permission to be an asshole.
No. It's absolutely not. And as a matter of fact, I had just gone through my own breakdown, not even, around this time last year. Like, I was just going through so many different things that I felt like I had to withdraw from social media, so I didn't make the mistake and just overshare because I'm emotional.
And then you come back and some dip just baits you out, right?
Everyone's trying to get you in a gotcha moment. And I was just like, you know what? This is his problem. This is not mine. And you know what? Since people are trying to figure out who I am and how long I've been doing this, I'm just going to take the opportunity to post my artwork.
Yeah.
Let's do a flashback. 2002, here's this. 2004, here's this. 2006, here's this. Here's all the things that I did during this time. Here's a Captain Marvel cover. Here's an Incredible Hulk cover. Here's a Totally Awesome Hulk cover. Here's a this. Here's a that. Yeah. Here's Attack on Titan. Here is, guys, I have to look around. Here's All-Star Batman. Here's this. This one I did, as a matter of fact, right after I slipped and fell, and I couldn't afford to go to the hospital. The ambulance came, said nothing was broken, and if you can put some ice on it and deal with it, that'll be fine. And then I crawled upstairs and finished this cover before my deadline.
Jesus.
With my head rocking, like I had to stop at some point and say, because I was seeing double. And for someone to come and tell me that I don't know the ups and downs of art, I had to stop and say, I don't have to prove anything to this person. But while everybody's here, this is my work.
This was an accidental boon for you. Like, this was something where I mean, I know it was because first and foremost, at one point in time, you were softly trending on Twitter because people were talking about it.
His Wikipedia page got changed.
Comic Book Resources wrote an article about it because they're always looking for something to write about.
Thank you, Rich.
You know, yeah, right. I mean, it was. I saw so many professionals that were posting their own things, tagging you, being like, "Just so you all know, Afua Richardson is fucking amazing." And I saw that on Twitter, I saw that on Instagram, and I saw that on Facebook.
Edgardo, freaking Gail Simone, Bill Sienkiewicz, like Dave Johnson, people who I know them. Some I know in passing, some I know very well. I was surprised, many people even knew my name, and it was really heartwarming for me. I kind of stepped back at some point because I was on the offensive at first, and I was like, you know what, I don't have time for this. Yeah, like I'm so exhausted already. I moved to I moved out of a terrible situation, moved to a new state. I know nobody here, and I moved into a place that had like hornets in the freaking windows, no heat, cold water, and the landlord was still like overcharging me for the place and saying that gas leaks were my fault. And I was just completely overloaded, and I had just gotten out of that, and then here he comes with this foolishness, and I was just like, oh, you know what? Oh, no, darling, this is not how the day is going to go. So I just kind of stepped back, and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm not really here to shame anybody who's having a mental health crisis right now. But if you know me, you know my work, and if you don't know me, that's okay. There's so many other artists out there, and honestly, to really speak about it, because people were like, someone like Gail Simone, like someone was trying to say, oh, well, I was in the strip club where Gail Simone got her first job. And I was just like, listen, whatever advantage gets you in the door, gets you in the door. You stay in the room because of your work. Yeah. Companies are not in the business of losing money.
No. And beyond that too, whatever job you have to stay alive while you're trying to break into a business. I was an Uber driver for 4 years while I was trying to break into making money doing stand-up, which still doesn't really work, and doing it through podcasting. Like, Uber driving is just stripping with a car, like, but doesn't pay as well. Like, to insult, and that was also one of those things where I would see stand-up sets where people would be like, my Uber driver tried to talk to me in the car, and I'm just like, oh, you're a ass. Like, right, it's a person, right? Unless they're a creep, right. Which, report it. But like being one of those people that are they're just like, 5 stars if they didn't say anything. Yeah. Yeah. I take that very personally because I grew up poor, and I've worked hard jobs, and I've left decent paying jobs so I could pursue a passion. And like that whole looking down your nose at anybody for any reason in that regard, unless they're an asshole, what the is wrong with you? So I saw that, and the good part, like, I think you had posted right after that was just like a picture of you in like a nice, pretty flowing cosplay, and just like, anyway, back to my life. And I was like, yeah. Now that being said,
like, you know what? I'm going to dress up as a mermaid.
And I loved it.
I am a Yemoja, the goddess of fresh water and springs, bringing in new energy and all that happy, hippy stuff.
Now, one of the things you said is, if you don't know me, that's fine, but you can know other people. And what I was saying is, if you are listening to this, you should know Afua. And you should go to afuarichardson.com. That's AFUA Richardson, RICHARDSON.com. That is your website. If you want to follow Afua on Facebook, you do have an Afua Richardson professional page. You are available on Twitter at Afua Richardson, one word, and on Instagram, Afua_Richardson. You are appearing at Baltimore Comic Con. That's coming up in next weekend from when this is released.
The 27th through the 30th.
Yeah. So if you're
Halloween,
if you're listening to this upon release, you go to a Baltimore Comic Con if you're out there. It's a great con. a pure Comic Con, which is very rare these days.
It is. It's like the Comic-Con homecoming.
I love Baltimore. I miss Baltimore. I still have, I have the Baltimore, the Usagi yearbook that they did. Shout out to my friend Scott Derby for getting that for me. And it has a sketch inside by, I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I'm not mad about that, by Stan Sakai. But anyway, go to Baltimore Comic Con. Are there other cons you're going to be at that we could send people to as well? Like, what else can we? How else can we get your stuff into people's ears, eyes, and hands?
Let's see. November 4th, I'm going to be at SCAD in Savannah. I'm doing a lecture there about the anatomy of a Renaissance. Examining the Harlem Renaissance and observing the Renaissance that's happening around us as we speak, as well as PopCon in Dubai in Expo City.
Huge. It's a huge market for me.
13th, the 10th through the 13th.
So Thursday the 10th through Sunday the 13th in November, you will be in Dubai.
I'll be in Dubai.
For all of you that are in Dubai, go Dubai some from Afua while she's there. But Baltimore Comic Con as well. I'm sure you're going to be at a lot more next year too. I cannot wait to see you. I cannot wait to hug you so hard that your bones crack. You're one of my absolute favorites. The regular episode is done. If you are a patron, stick around because we've got a little bit of bonus content coming your way. But for those of you that are listening for free, thank you so much. Head on over to patreon.com/JeffMay for early access to uncensored episodes with bonus content of this show, as well as other shows that are going to be coming out as well. So you're going to want to check that out. Afua, you're a damn delight.
Oh, thank you. Oh, wait. Before you go.
Okay.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. May. Happy birthday to you.
Oh my God, that feels really good. Thank you very much. I haven't been called Mr. May since I retired from teaching, so that's pretty cool. Thank you. Oh my God, that is so nice. Oh my God, that's so good. Thank you. Of course. Thank you for that. And then for those of you that are patrons, stick around. We're going to talk for another second. We're going to talk about cosplay when we come back. Hey everyone, our artwork is created by Justin T. Brown, who can be found at Artness by Justin Brown on Instagram, as well as artnessbyjustinbrown.com. That dope music you heard is by Troy Nababon, available at Troy Nababon on Instagram, as well as at troynababon.com. Nababon is spelled Nababon.